As we all know now, Geometry Dash's 2.2 update is finally out after nearly 7 years of waiting. And with this long wait came a lot of new content compared to the previous updates. From Swingcopter game mode, new orbs and portals, dozens upon dozens of new triggers, new camera controls, effects, and platformer mode, the list goes on. And by now you've probably seen the sheer amount of things all these new triggers and mechanics can do. I mean, people are literally making straight up edits and songs in Geometry Dash now. It's safe to say that this update has changed level making forever. But is it getting too hard? I mean, imagine being a new player and seeing the hundreds of different orbs, portals, triggers, and blocks at your disposal. And that's not to mention platformer mode as a whole, which unlocks a whole new world of creation. I mean, where would you even start?
Alright, let's check out the level editor. This is gonna be so fun. Okay, wow, there's a lot of stuff here. Okay, there's the box. Let's place a few spikes here too. Alright, now what do these things do? Oh wow, that's cool. Oh yeah, this is the rocket ship from Stereo Madness. Alright, time to add some decorations. Oh yeah, this is perfect. I can't wait to share my amazing level with the world and get it rated.
The next day.
Alright, let's see. What? Only 34 downloads? And how did it even get this many dislikes? This level is literally so good. This isn't fair. Let me check the rated levels and see what... I'm done.
This is an extreme example of what I'm trying to portray, but shows the principle of how the ceiling for good levels is getting higher and higher. Back in my day, when I started Geometry Dash in 2.0, the effort required to get a rated level was a lot lower. However, this was kind of a double-edged sword. The lower amount of options and customization did lead to a lot of repetition and generic design, which even became a meme in the community. However, this didn't necessarily mean that these levels were bad at all, as they couldn't really do much with what was offered to them at the time in the editor. And this was amplified even more in the much older updates, where the options were even more restricted. But it of course doesn't mean that there weren't any good and iconic levels made during this time. But what mattered most is that the editor and creating good levels relative to the time was very accessible for new creators, which gave them a chance to get a rated level with a good amount of practice. With the release of 2.1, this balance of accessibility of creating and repetitiveness of levels started to shift as the editor gave us more features. The shift wasn't instant, however. There was a sort of grace period where creators had some time to start learning the new features of the editor. These levels would usually utilize some of the more basic features of the update that people could get a hold of quick, such as the spider and new orbs. And over time, as creators started to learn the new features, the standard eventually started to rise in both decoration and gameplay. And slowly but surely, just by looking at the daily levels throughout the years, we can see how the standard has gone up. And many levels that would have otherwise been featured might have only gotten a standard rating or no rating at all. And so with 2.2 being the biggest Geometry Dash update by far, I think pretty soon the standard is going to skyrocket as creators get the hang of the variety of camera effects, gameplay features, decoration effects, and sound effects. I think that these first 2 months or so from the release of 2.2 will be this update's grace period, where many 2.1-esque levels with some pretty basic 2.2 features will still be viable for getting rated. But honestly, soon enough, I think we'll see these levels might not be enough. And I think it's easy for someone who's already experienced in the editor to say that it's not too hard to adapt and just get good at learning these new features. But with the example I portrayed, it really makes me feel bad for the new players who are going to have to face this huge skill ceiling to conquer before their levels even consider to get rated. But is this inherently a bad thing? Well, again, as mentioned before, it's simply a double-edged sword. I can say for sure that I am astonished by the insane levels people are capable of creating. Even nearing the end of 2.1, we saw some of the most innovative levels never thought to be possible in a game like Geometry Dash. And I honestly can't wait to see what people are going to be capable of creating in 2.2 that will break the boundaries of Geometry Dash as a whole, from a platformer game to whatever magic sorcery people are going to start creating. And I do think that creativity and innovation in levels at the cost of new players having to invest more time if they want to get rated levels is still a net positive. So where does this leave these new players? Well, one great place to start, I think, are tutorials. We see even RobTop asked himself this question and decided to create a great starting point for new players with the editor guide, which offers a section-by-section comprehensive guide for every aspect of creating levels, which I think was a brilliant decision. Many content creators also have made very useful guides to learning the editor, like how to make good gameplay, how to decorate, how to use triggers, the whole lot. And using these videos can be much more useful than just going in blindly to figure out what everything does. Another way I think RobTop is helping to accommodate this rising level standard is by expanding the different levels of ratings, by adding on to the existing standard, featured, and epic ratings, with the new legendary and godlike ratings. This means that as the standard of good levels goes up, instead of the average rated level needing to be extremely impressive, these extremely impressive levels go to the highest ratings being legendary and godlike. So while I think the standard has still gone up, RobTop has managed to give beginner creators a chance to get rated levels by widening the rating system for both OK levels and masterpieces to all get rated. Finally, it's also important to just put fun as a priority when making levels. Creator points aren't everything. It is definitely a sign of progress and accomplishment for sure, but what's essential in my opinion to actually enjoying creating levels is to gain experience by making levels you enjoy, even if they're bad at first. Me personally, even though I'm pretty used to making levels over the past years, I've just had fun creating layouts for some of my favorite songs without any expectation for them getting rated. While everyone's goals are different, I think in general, if you're not having fun creating, there's basically no point in creating at all. So let me know, do you think the standard of creating levels is getting too high? Do you think the accommodations brought in 2.2 was enough to even the playing field for getting rated? Or do you think people just need to get good? I'll see you all later. I love you all.